Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Whether it's hot yoga, over 100-degree weather, or too much sun. Gator Light, with a specialized blend of 5 electrolytes, was scientifically designed to help move fluids into the body faster for rapid rehydration. Shop now at retailers nationwide. Gator Light hydrates faster than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach, a trip to the state fair, and a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now,
hey, coaches, welcome to Coach Unplugged. I'm so excited you decided to join us. Before we jump into today's podcast, I'd like to make a shout out to our sponsors. First of all, Game Changer. They are, I think, one of the number one streaming things that, don't miss out. It's an auto stream. You can set it up. You can use it for practice. It keeps real-time scores. It captures all the highlights you'll ever need. So go over and check it out at gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Also, go over and check out Dr. Dish, the number one shooting machine on the market. Can't wait to get back into the gym, get the boys on the shooting machine. Mention Coach Collins and Coach Unplugged, and they'll take really good care of you. And last but not least, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. We're weeks away from the launch. I will get more specific and talk about that kind of stuff as we get a little bit closer, what's coming with that. But if you're thinking if you want to get in, at a low monthly price, I would do it ASAP. I'm just telling you. All right, let's head off to the podcast.
John Wooden showed up at practice one day and he said to Swin Nader, how would you like to come to a world-class university? It'll be the greatest opportunity you'll ever have to go to college, but it'll be the hardest thing you'll ever do in life. Why? He was recruited to develop another player. Who was the player ahead of him? Bill Walton. Bill Walton. All-Pro, All-American. So he went to UCLA and never played. How would you like to do this? Go to a team and never get a chance to play for the first 2 years. And never be guaranteed that you'll ever play, because you've got an all-world guy ahead of you. And you're getting better and better. By the time he finished his junior year, he went with the U.S. Olympic development team. The U.S. team, if you know the history of UCLA, the UCLA players didn't participate hardly at all in the Olympic movement. But John Wooden got Swin Nader in there. He led the Olympic team in rebounding. He got in the top 8. That's all John Wooden ever played. Got in the top 8 his senior year in college. Never started a game for UCLA. Was a first-round draft choice and a long-time professional basketball player. How about that for learning? He said, you're going to learn a lot. And he did learn a lot. But he never started a game for his college. 4 years. Drive. The book Drive. That's on your handout by Daniel Pink. Obviously, the book that I have on fundamentals that Coach Meyer and I did together, Basketball Skills and Drills, is over here, is the the most widely sold fundamentals book in the world. Now, it's not because we're well-known names. Either Don Meyer or Jerry Krause aren't household words around the world in basketball, but it is the most popular fundamentals book in the world. If you haven't looked at it, come over and look at it. It has a 2.5-hour DVD in the book, as well as the book, for $30. And that's probably the best bargain in basketball. So if you want to know about fundamentals, what I'm just going to give you a flavor of today. Mentoring. Coaches, I give you've got to study mentoring. You've got to become a better mentor, because you've got to mentor more of your players than ever before in order to inspire and motivate them. And there's a great book by John Wooden on mentoring that I listed for you, A Game Plan for Life by John Wooden on mentoring. And there's one other book by a guy who actually was a football coach in Minnesota one time. Albert Lea, Minnesota. Albert Lea College. His name is Frosty Western, and it's a final reminder of general things for making you a better coach. And Frosty Western wrote a little book that he calls The Big Time is Where You Are. The Big Time is Where You Are. Where are we? We're in Bemidji, Minnesota. If you're coaching here or teaching here, this is the big time. This is the big time. Never forget, wherever you are, whatever your school is in, don't think this isn't the best place for you. God has put you here for a reason. The big time is this team. The big time is you, right where you are in the school you're in, with the family you have. And we have to remind yourself of that. You know, a lot of kids today and a lot of our players today and a lot of our coaches today think, oh boy, you know what I thought when I started coaching? I started at a little school in Iowa, little bitty school where I learned some great lessons of coaching. Girls basketball is more important than guys basketball. I was the boys basketball coach. So I go to my first game and I'm all fired up. And there they play the girls game first, then the boys game. I thought it was a preliminary game. Get the girls game out of the way. I was the assistant girls coach. I go in that gym and it is packed. You couldn't get one other person in that gym. There was no way you'd get another person in there without the fire department coming. So I said, wow, we had a girl that scored 52 points that first night. Oh, wow, this is great. Now we can get the real main event on. So I go down and give my guys a big pep talk before the game. We fire out on the floor. It was the greatest coaching lesson I've ever had. What happened? Everybody gone home. About half the people left, and they saw what they came to see. It was a great lesson for me as a young coach, because it took my ego out of it. It isn't about us. One of the hardest things, I asked John Wooden this once, what's the hardest thing for you in your coaching career? Greatest coach of all time. And he said, keeping humility, keeping humble. That was a hard thing. That was a hard thing for any of us. I thought I was the greatest young coach in the history of basketball. Well, I wasn't. It's about the players. It isn't about us, and not what we teach, not what we coach, it's what they learn. It's about them. And you have to keep that in mind. So Frosty Western reminds us of that with the book. The big time is where you are. The big time is where you are. What's the most desired color for, he has a little story in there in the book. What's the most desired color for a car? Is red. It's the raciest color alive. We all want to have a red car. I had my red convertible one time. Everybody wants a red car. What's the most solid color? Blue. Bulldog blue. I'm from Gonzaga. Bulldog blue. he said, Bulldog Blue is the way life is. It's the way you teach and coach. It's where you are. And it doesn't make any difference. You don't have to get the raciest thing. What you have to do is get the best thing. Get the best thing. Be the best person you can be. Don't try to be the raciest person you can be. Okay? Big time is where you are. All right, so then the last reminder that I have for you on that, how do you become the best coach and the best player is, what do these players do when the coaches aren't around? That's really the lessons they have learned. What do your players do when you aren't around? Now, like every program at Gonzaga, we've had the pendulum swinging. And we're in a really good place right now. We have good kids that really love the game. But 5 years ago, we had some bad kids that didn't love the game. And as a college coach, we have to now try to recruit kids who love the game. Your job as a school coach is to teach them to love the game more, the way you do. Inspire and motivate them to love the game. A lot of these kids are just finding out, oh, this might be fun. How do you inspire and motivate them to love the game? You've got to have a good program where they're having laughing fun and learning fun. If you can't motivate them to love the game, they'll never love it. They have to. I think it's a different thing. They're over-organized and over-uniformed today in all of basketball. They're in organized programs from the time they're this tall. I don't think it's necessarily the best way to go. Because when we grew up, a lot of us just played our basketball ourselves. We did it because it was something fun to do, and we controlled it, and we set up. In my little hometown in Nebraska, we had a little competition in the summer, whenever we could do it, that was a 3-on-3 deal. 3-on-3 basketball. We had a little league. I even published a little paper. Okay, here are the standings this week. And we kept track. And we just ran our own little league. What do you think these guys do? They can't play unless in a lot of cities you can't play safely. So it's not a good situation for being inspired and motivated. All right, so let's look specifically at teaching the game of basketball. How do you become a master teacher? Let me give you a couple guidelines for you coaches. What you emphasize is what you tend to get. But before you emphasize it, the first thing that a master teacher must be is a master teacher. What you teach is what you tend to get. Hey, Coach, I hope you're enjoying this. I'm just interrupting for 2 seconds. Let me give a shout out to Game Changer. Go over and check them out. They help us keep the lights on. Go over and check it out at gc.com/coaching youth hoops. You can view games, you can stream games, you can stream practices. So again, gc.com/coaching youth hoops. And again, if you're thinking about getting into Teach Hoops, I would do that soon. Lots of changes coming. We're going to get rid of the semi-annual and the annual memberships. We're going to go monthly, and there's a lot of really cool things coming around the corner. Coach isn't sleeping very much. So go over and check it out and have a great day. Yeah. So first, what you teach is what you tend to get. Now, these players have to think about it in terms of them. So they got to know what is being taught. They got to listen for those critical cues. So what they learn will be the best they can be. So what you teach is what you tend to get. What you emphasize is what you tend to get. A lot of guys and gals will come up here at a coaching clinic and they'll say they emphasize something, but you can't really tell unless you go to their practices. If you go to the practice on a day-to-day thing, what are they emphasizing? At Gonzaga University, we emphasize offense. Now, why have we had difficulty in tournaments over the years? Because I believe when you get to tournament play, you've got to have defense and rebounding. Defense and rebounding is the key to tournament success. So I tell our players, you practice like you're getting ready to play the best player and the best team we're going to face. That's what you ought to think about. Don't do it halfway and half speed, because that won't get you ready for who's your best opponent?
Our best opponent?
Yeah.
Would have been...
What team?
Northwestern.
Northwestern, let's say. Okay, so she's got to, in her mind all the time, the best player from Northwestern is guarding me on that move that I'm trying to perfect. So you got to really do game moves at game speed, because that's what you'll need to do to be successful there. Why were we more successful this year than we ever were? Because we emphasized defense and rebounding more than ever. And we were better at that. We were very good at that. So, what you emphasize is what you tend to get. Third, what you practice is what you tend to get. John Wooden says the games are won and lost on the practice floor, not game night. Everybody thinks they're going to be a great game coach, and some people have a little gift for that. Our head coach, Mark Few, is pretty gifted on X's and O's, and he coaches like it's a chess game. He loves to do that stuff. But we are successful because we focus on fundamentals. We focus on fundamentals, and we've gotten better this last few years at defense and rebounding. So that makes a difference. What you practice is what you tend to get. Fourth, what you measure as a coach is what you tend to get. What you measure is what you tend to get. So, what's your free throw shooting percentage last year? See, I don't know. Now, I don't know who our coach is, but I'll tell you one thing. That tells me something. If you don't measure what you're doing and know your free throw percentage, how are you going to get better? You got to know your status right now to get progress from there. So you got to know that. What's the national average for colleges is 70% free throws. So our players all know that. And they know exactly what their free throw percentage is. And our goal in free throw percentage is everyone aspires to shoot 75%. Now we've got a young Polish guy that I'm working with now who is the worst free throw shooter I've ever coached. I don't know what he had for coaches in Poland, but I'll tell you, they must have been truck drivers or something. Because he started out, when we started, and I asked him that same question last year. I says, what did you shoot in your club over in Poland last year? Oh, I don't know, I think it was around 70%. Well, it couldn't have been more than 50% if he didn't know. But you got to know where you are. You got to measure it. And you got to get the best measure in order to have learning take place, status and progress. Know where you are, and then know where you want to go. So what you measure is what you tend to get. And finally, as a coach and player, what you demand of your players and what you demand of yourself is what you tend to get. We had a walk-on player for us at Gonzaga University this year. Mike Hart is his name. He had a great name. H-A-R-T. What a perfect name. Because he is the greatest player with a heart that I've ever seen. He gave his heart to our team. He was selected by Sports Illustrated as the National Glue Guy Player of the Year. Glue Guy is the best team guy in the country. A walk-on player. Do you think he had high demands of himself? Oh my goodness. I'll tell you a quick story, a good coaching story, but a good playing story to learn. So he's, I believe, like they always say, women have a glass ceiling in some jobs in this country. Well, in playing, in college basketball, the steel ceiling is against walk-ons. Against walk-ons, because I recruit every player, scholarship player, is recruited as a scholarship player. And so I'm invested in that guy. Chris is my scholarship player. Do you think I'm going to be in favor of a walk-on beating him out? No. You know, I don't want those walk-ons to really be successful down deep. So if you're a walk-on, you got a hard time. You got a hard time beating him out. Well, he was a walk-on for us for 4 years before he broke into the regular rotation. And he still gets punched out. No, you're not good enough. This other guy's getting better. I better give him the chance. Well, so he gets into the permanent starting lineup as a walk-on. Earns a scholarship his last year eventually. So everybody knows about it now. The coaches all know about it. The fans know about it. Everybody knows that he has gone from the worst to the first. He's on the first team. So we have our next practice, and you know, like most coaches, you play your top 7 or 8, get most of the repetitions. And then the rest of the players are on what we call a scout team. They have lesser status, but a very important role. So he comes in, he plays one practice on the scout, on this first group. And he comes in the next day and he says, "Coach, I can't do it." I said, "Mike, what can't you do?" "I can't do it." "Well, Mike, what is it you can't do?" "I can't play up there alone. I just need a few reps to get all that I need up there, but I got to stay on the scout team because we'll be a better team by me being on the scout team." So the rest of this year, he was on the scout team and started for us with just a few reps. What a great story about what do you think is more important to him? Me or we? He thought the team had to come first. That's a great lesson for everybody, all of us as coaches. Okay, so he demanded a lot and held himself accountable for a lot. So let me just summarize what I just said. As a coach and as a player, what you teach or what you learn as a player is what you tend to get. What you emphasize is what you tend to get. What you practice is what you tend to get. What you measure is what you tend to get. And what you demand of yourself and your team is what you tend to get. So that's part of being a master teacher. That's part of teaching the game. Finally, the laws of learning that we're going to apply here now, in just a little bit, is first, you've got to, as a master teacher, be able to demonstrate and explain. Demonstrate and explain.
There she goes, our baby.
Are we ready for this?
You added her to your AAA auto policy. With 24/7 claim support, she's covered.
Our AAA agent, you're here too?
We're always here for you. Visit AAA.com/insurance to get a quote today.